Well, ho ho ho, everybody! Welcome back to 10 Man Collections, and today we're in the Christmas room, and I decided to film myself reading another book. But since people are doing all that Christmas in July stuff, I figured why not read one of my Christmas books? So, I think I'm going to read this book, and it's called The Amazing Christmas Extravaganza by David Shannon. So, here we go. I think he did the artwork too, so I don't know. It all started with one little string of tiny white Christmas lights. In the past, Mr. Merriweather had been happy celebrating Christmas with his wife and their children, Matthew and Sarah. Each year, he made a big show of getting the box of ornaments down from the attic. Hey, I'll probably make a big show too, but anyway. Then the Merriweather family decorated the tree together and hung a wreath on the front door, but this Christmas was different. Look at that house. Simple, family home, but effective. Anyway, this year we're really going to celebrate Christmas, he announced. This year we're going to put lights on the house. Yeah, I like doing that myself. Anyway, they were all very excited. Mrs. Merriweather clapped her hands and Sarah hopped on one foot. Then Mr. Merriweather hauled his ladder outside and tacked up a small string of white lights around the front window. "That's fine," he said, admiring his handiwork. He left the lights on all night so he could see the glow from his bedroom, and he went to sleep a happy man. He sure does look like a happy man. And I'll be too if I was seeing a glow of Christmas lights outside my window too. "Kind of a shrimpy little string of lights you got there, pal." Mr. Merriweather stopped shoveling and turned to see Mr. Clack. That is a weird and sinister name right there, Mr. Clack. But anyway, his neighbor from across the street. "Wait till you see my house." Mr. Clack bragged, "I got 17 strings of lights, and they blink on and off." Oh, we got a little Christmas showdown, don't we? Anyway, Mr. Merriweather was suddenly embarrassed. "Well, I'm not done yet. You'll wait till I'm finished, and then I'll guess you'll see something." He pulled his hat down over his ears and went back to his shoveling. Ugh. Yeah, he's just one of them sinister, snarly, and guys that just wants to show people that he's better than the others. I don't like that. Bad sportsmanship. That afternoon, Mr. Merriweather gathered up his kids and drove the station wagon to 5 big department stores. He bought so many Christmas decorations that he couldn't close the tailgate. Wait until I show you this picture. It's humongous. Anyway, he could hardly wait to get home and put them all up. "Can we really afford all that?" Mrs. Merriweather asked when she saw the decorations. "Of course we can, honey." Mr. Merriweather said, "It's Christmas." That night he peeked out of his bedroom window and saw Mr. Clack staring up at his new display. He chuckled to himself when Mr. Clack kicked some snow and stomped home. Jealous that he don't have all this. Look at that. One big Santa, candy canes, sleigh, and reindeer. Before I continue reading, that's like my kind of Christmas shopping right there. I'll probably be broke, but hey, I don't care. I got a lot of Christmas decorations. But anyway, the next day, all of Mr. Merriweather's neighbors stopped by to tell him how wonderful his house looked. He had never gotten so many compliments. They made him feel giddy and full inside, like he'd just eaten a big dinner. But still, he thought there was room for improvement. Every morning for the next week, Mr. Merriweather fired up the old station wagon and went in search of more decorations. "Golly, you got enough right here. I don't know why he needed to go get more, but anyway." Which he carefully added onto his house with the seriousness of a true artist. And every evening the neighbors and their kids came out to see the new wonders sprouting from the house of lights. "Magnificent," the neighbors exclaimed. "Awesome. Matthew's and Sarah's friend told them they were lucky to have such a great dad. Yeah, Matthew said, a little puzzled. He's really something. But I mean, look at that. He's really got the Christmas spirit. He went all out and put a lot of decorations on top of the house too. I just hope he don't fall. Mrs. Merriweather tried to be understanding, but she was worried Christmas Day would be here soon, and it seemed like that her husband could only think of colored lights and plastic candles. She was relieved when Mr. Merriweather told her he had been to every store he could find, and there was nothing left to buy. Then she heard the hammer banging and the saw buzzing in the garage. That face looks like, be like, honey, you've done enough. I'm proud of you. Now, can you help me with cooking dinner and finding some Christmas presents? That's the type of face right there. Several days later, Mr. Merriweather unveiled what he had made is truly an extravaganza. The neighbors gasped. Mr. Merriweather flipped a switch, and the recording of the 12 Days of Christmas blared out over the loudspeakers. That's one of my favorite Christmas songs, by the way. Life-size wooden cutouts filled the yard, representing each of the 12 days. There were maids of milking, geese of laying, lords of leaping, and even a partridge in a pear tree. Man, I'll be in the gasp too if I saw all this, but anyway. And this is nothing, shouted Mr. Merriweather. You should see what I'm building next. Terrific, muttered Mr. Clack. I like celebrating Christmas as much as the next guy, but this is ridiculous. Yeah, you kind of pushed him into this, did you, Mr. Clack? Anyway, Mr. Merriweather was no longer thinking about Christmas, however. He was thinking about bigger, brighter, and more. But how can you get bigger than this right here? Look at that. Got the Lords leaping over there, and then pear tree. What more can you ask for? The next night, Mr. Merriweather was back at work on his extravaganza. You better come down now, dear, Mrs. Merriweather called up to him. The children are in the Christmas program tonight. Sorry, no time, Mr. Merriweather mumbled through a mouth full of nails. I got too much to do. You go on without me. It was hopeless. Mrs. Merriweather tried to explain to Matthew and Sarah that their father was a very busy man. I think he's gone a little wacko, Matthew said. Hush, his mother scolded. Don't talk about your father that way. Well, if you go crazy at Christmas time trying to put up decorations, then you'll be like this man too. But his wife is right. You need to take time away from this project of yours and go to the Christmas program that kids you're in, because you're never going to see it again. I got to read it like this now, but I'll show you why in a minute. Mr. Merriweather's display continued to grow. One day he put up Santa's workshop, complete with elves. The next day he added giant snowmen made of styrofoam. Man, that guy went to work town on that, did he? But anyway. And finally he built a 50-foot Santa with a mechanical arm that waved. Look at that. There's the 50-foot Santa. Snowman made out of styrofoam, but look at that whole entire yard. Imagine seeing that when you go by. Look at that, Christmas decorations. I'll be in awe. Anyway. People from 3 counties away brought their children to see the now famous Merriweather front yard, but it wasn't so much fun anymore for the people who lived nearby. The extravaganza used so much electricity that there was hardly any left for the neighbors. Their Christmas trees were dim and dull, and their Christmas cookies came out doughy from ovens that wouldn't heat. The noise from the sightseers honking and yelling was so loud that the annual Christmas caroling had to be canceled. Now you see what you did there? Okay. Other people did not have no electricity. Oof. Makes you think you should add some more transformers or something to get more juice. But anyway, no one could hear the singers. People visiting their families got stranded for hours in the tangle of traffic. Sometimes they just gave up and went home. Mr. Merriweather didn't even notice. He sat snugly in his brightly lit home, humming along with 12 Days of Christmas. And if you don't know this is going on, sir, you need to wake up. Good lordy. It ain't just about you. Taking all the people's juice. But I really hate to see that happening in real life. But anyway, let's continue. Finally, the neighbors decided something had to be done. On Christmas Eve, they held a meeting at Mr. Clack's house. "Let's call the cops," someone shouted. "Let's take him to court," screamed another. "Now wait a minute," said Mr. Clack. "We don't want to look like a bunch of Scrooges." Just then, all the lights in the neighborhood went out. Up and down the street, everything was black, everything that is except the Christmas extravaganza, which glowed brighter than ever. "That's the last straw," roared Mr. Clack. "I don't care what people think. I say we tear it down ourselves tonight." Everyone yelled in agreement. Then they armed themselves with tools of destruction and swarmed over to Mr. Merriweather's front yard, slashing, bashing, and trashing everything in sight. "Think you took it a little bit too far, sir?" "Well, think again. They're about to stomp and destroy everything of yours." All because of Mr. Clack here with the plaid right here. Kind of teased them on, right? Mr. Merriweather and his wife woke up in midair. "Oh my, oh no," he wailed. "What is it?" cried the children, running into the room. "I think it's an earthquake," Mr. Merriweather exclaimed. They all dove under the bed and huddled there together, listening to the terrible screechy, crackling, thumping. It lasted all night long. Finally, the noises stopped. Mr. Merriweather poked his head out from under the bed. It was morning, Christmas morning. He ran downstairs, opened the front door, and he couldn't believe what he saw. They got so terrified they jumped under the bed right now. I think it was an earthquake. The Christmas extravaganza was gone. Yesterday, giant snowflakes, Santa Clauses, reindeer, and lights had decorated his house and yard. Now there was only a huge pile of sputtering rumble. Mr. Clack and the rest of the mob were still standing around. Their heavy breaths steamed in the cold air. "I guess that'll teach you to muck up our neighborhood," Mr. Clack sneered. Well, then again, it was your little teasing on that made him go crazy with the... See right here, that guy, that Mr. Clack guy looks like all them nosy neighbors or something like that. Good lordy. Mr. Merriweather felt as if he had been hit by a log. He could barely talk. But I was just celebrating Christmas," he said. "I didn't know it bothered you. I thought you liked it." The neighbors were silent, no longer caught up in their attack. They looked at each other and began to think about what they had done, and they were ashamed. "I'm sorry," Mr. Clack said sheepishly. "Yeah, you're sorry. You messed up a guy's dream of a big Christmas display." He picked up a pair of broken reindeer antlers. "Here," he said. "We'll help you put it all back together again. We'll make it even better." Mr. Merriweather shook his head. "No," he said. "I think some nice little white lights would do just fine." He pulled the tiny string out of the smoking heap, and Mr. Clack and all of the neighbors helped him tack it all around the front window. Yeah, they feel bad now. They want to help him put some stuff like it. This man was just trying to have fun. Mrs. Merriweather brought out cups of hot cider, and the whole neighborhood admired Mr. Merriweather's little string of white lights, his fine tree, and his beautiful wreath. "You know, Mr. Merriweather," Mr. Clack said, "that really was an amazing Christmas extravaganza." "Thank you," replied Mr. Merriweather. "But this are my real masterpieces." He hugged Matthew and then swung Sarah high up into the air. Mrs. Merriweather took her husband by the arm. "Don't feel bad, dear," she said. "Everybody should be able to celebrate Christmas in his own way, whether it was with a lot of lights or none at all. You just got so big there wasn't room for anyone else." "Well, I learned my lesson, Mr. Merriweather." "Good for you, sir," said with a sigh. "I guess I got carried away. I think everyone did," Mrs. Merriweather said. "But I'm proud of you. I didn't know you were so artistic." Mr. Merriweather smiled. He gazed at his children, his friends, and his big mound of junk. He noticed that several large pieces of wood were still in good condition. He wondered out loud. How many days to Easter? And look, he realizes that these are his children or his extravaganza. That's nice. The end. And it said, look, he said till Easter. Look what he did. Now that's good. Enough. He did a nice job on that house, folks. I hated that the neighbors had to tear it all down, but I understand their grief. They're mad that their power was gone. But anyway, that was The Amazing Christmas Extravaganza by David Shannon. I hope you guys enjoyed this book reading. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. And this has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Collection channel. I'm Jeffrey the Tin Man Taylor. Sayonara and Merry Christmas in July, everybody. Bye-bye.